Once upon a time, in a realm where sunlight dripped like honey and the rivers flowed with laughter, there lived a mighty king named Now. Magner was a king after his father's heart, strong, proud, commanding respect from everyone around him. Piva loved him, praising his fairness and courage. The grand halls of his castle, his booming laughter echoed, promising prosperity and joy. He kept his word, and for a while, his rule over the kingdom of Valter was blessed. But slowly, something changed. Oh, how it changed! You wouldn't recognize him in his new form. Greed became his god, hoarding jewels and gold. Now, he delighted in crushing rebellions and adding another village to his domain. Soon, his coffers overflowed, but the land withered. Rivers ran dry. The sun dimmed behind clouds that wept not a single tear. Crops failed, and folks whispered of a curse. And high above them, in the highest chamber of the castle, cut into the very stone floor, lay a warning. No one knew who had put it there, but it was clear. The ancient Star Watchers had warned this kingdom long before it had a name, warning of the day when gold would become God and greed the law. They said the land would crumble in silence, and ash. Boo! Only the sacrifice of the heart can mend what is broken. Over the years, many kings had heard this, heeding its words, showing mercy and balance in their rule. But Magner scoffed, calling it a tale for fools and cowards. Then he outlawed its mention. Guards took anyone who spoke of the prophecy away, and no one ever saw them again. Still, despite the fear that gripped the kingdom, one young girl dared to hope. Her name was Lyra, an orphan living in the outskirts of Go. She was just 12, barely older than the babe in arms. Her parents had once been scholars of the ancient ways, taken by the king's guards for speaking truths he refused to hear. Ever since she could remember, Lyra had scavenged for food and dreamed of restoring peace to the land. Every night, she studied her parents' forbidden scrolls, memorizing the prophecy and its hidden meanings. Then one morning, the sky turned dark. Not with storm clouds, but with something far worse. A blinding white light shimmered across the sky like fire behind frost, and time itself seemed to falter. The trees bent away from the castle, animals fled, and in the heart of the royal vault, gold began to melt, hissing and whispering like voices calling for vengeance. Kin summoned his court wizard, old Tyven, demanding answers. "It's the prophecy," Tyven said, trembling. "You've hoarded too much, taken too freely. The balance is broken. The mountain stirs." Magner waved him off. "The mountain? You speak of that fairy tale? Dobie, a fool. It's just a legend." But even as he spoke, a deep rumble shook the floor beneath them. The earth itself was waking. Meanwhile, Lyra had been following her dreams literally. Every night she saw visions of the mountain, calling her, showing her a path lit by fallen stars and guarded by beasts made of smoke. Guided by her small, enchanted fox named Kale, and armed with the last starstone given to her by her mother, she set out on a journey. Her goal: awaken the heart of the mountain before the kingdom fell into ruin. Kale, along the way, she encountered Prince Orain Magner's son, who had secretly left the palace to escape his father's madness. Orain, though raised in luxury, was nothing like his father. Cudi had seen the suffering of the people and felt powerless to change it. When he met Lyra, he was skeptical, but her conviction stirred something in him. He chose to help her, even as the sky grew whiter each day and cracks spread through the land like veins of fire. Together Lyra and Orain braved the treacherous hollow forest, crossed the shattered bridge, and finally reached the foot of Mount Elithorth, ancient source of Velthor's magic. Dare, guarded by an enormous obsidian beast known as the Grave Worm. They discovered the truth. The heart of the mountain could restore balance. Only if the king gave up what he cherished most, not his gold, but his legacy, his power, his crown. Lyra realized that the prophecy wasn't about punishment, but about choice. Still, when they returned to the castle to confront him, he wouldn't listen. In the palace, Magnar watched helplessly as his empire collapsed. The sky had turned pure white, the kind of white that burned to look at. His vaults were emptying on their own, the gold turning to sand. Crops turned to ash. His guards fled. Still, he refused to believe he had failed. When Lyra and Orphan returned to the castle to confront him, he laughed at them. You want me to give up everything? For what? For peasants? For mud and trees? You don't understand? Lyra cried. Gun, you were never meant to rule forever. The prophecy isn't about your punishment, it's about your choice. You still have time, but the mountain had already begun its final judgment. Tremors shook the castle. The white light spilled through windows like liquid. Statues crumbled. Flames rose from the earth. At last, when faced with the death of his son, Magnar faltered. As the floor split beneath Orphan, the king dove to save him, and in that moment, he saw the truth in Lyra's eyes. It was never about gold. It was always about love. Magnar stood tall for the last time. He raised his arms and said, I give it all back. My crown, my name, my greed. Let it end with me. The moment the words left his mouth, the sky dimmed. The blinding white faded. The fire stilled. From deep below the palace, the mountain pulsed with light, not destruction, but rebirth. Magnar vanished into the light. The crown crumbled into stardust. The balance was restored. The land began to heal. Years later, under Queen Lyra and her trusted advisor Orphan Velther, became a beacon of harmony and wisdom. The heart of the mountain glowed once more, not in anger, but in peace. And though the greedy king was gone, his tale lived on. It wasn't to frighten children, but to remind them that even the worst mistakes can be undone if we are brave enough to change. Moral of the story: true power lies not in gold, but in sacrifice, wisdom, and love. Hey, did you like this story? If you want more stories like this, subscribe to our channel. We publish one new story every week. And hey, why not share this story with your friends? Maybe they'll learn something too.